Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to our Tuesday and Thursday coffee date. We are reading through the book, A Time to Dance, Chasing Joy in Difficult Seasons. If you can't see that book cover because it kind of flips it backwards, I will load the link to the actual book on Amazon down below this post. But today we are reading chapter 21, which is your qualifications for his kingdom work. So if you're new here, every Tuesday and Thursday, we're meeting at 6:45 a.m. Central Time. We've been reading through the book. Today, like I said, we're on chapter 21. So we've been doing this for quite some time. But man, we've had some really beautiful chapters, breakthroughs, insights, Holy Spirit moments as we've been reading through this together. So if you missed out on any of the chapters and you want to go back and find them, I have a YouTube channel, Shannon Singh Ministries. You can hop out there. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I've made sure that I took all these lives and uploaded them to the YouTube channel because Facebook only keeps the lives for about 30 days and then it automatically deletes them. So there's really not a way on Facebook to go back and rewatch these lives. But if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, I uploaded all of them. So should you want to go back and catch some of these chapters you missed, you can do that out there. But today we're talking about your qualifications for his kingdom work. And this is such a timely chapter for me because I don't know about you guys, but I feel like social media is getting really loud as far as telling us, how we should do something and when we should do something and what it should look like all the time, right? Good morning, good morning. And so, I think it's very important to continually go back and say, you do not have to seek anyone else's approval. You do not have to seek their opinion. You do not have to seek any of that when God says, run with him. There's going to be a lot of times that God says, run with me, and other people are going to misunderstand it, or, they're going to think, maybe they're going to think you're stretching beyond what you're equipped for. Well, yeah, God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. So don't let people tell you that because it doesn't look like how they think it's supposed to look, that you're not doing it right. Such as, I watched the other day someone on social media do a reel, and they said something along the lines of, all these people who think they're doing ministry on social media, they need to just stop because that's not ministry. God didn't call us to preach on social media. God called us to a pulpit or whatever. And if he didn't call you to that, then you need to just stop. If he didn't call you to a pulpit or a space where you're speaking. Well, let me explain something to you about what my journey looked like. God knew that he was going to have to walk me into spaces and baby steps because this was a place that I never aspired to. I probably didn't believe that I had it in me to do it, but he did. He knew what I was made for. He knew what he called me into. So the first thing he had me do was write. And after I'd done that for a couple of years, he called me into podcasting. And after I'd done that for a couple of years, he called me into speaking on lives. And after I'd done that for a couple of years, he opened the door for me to speak in a room with women. And so don't ever believe that just because someone else creates a box of what it's supposed to look like, that means that you have to fit inside that box. Because if God called you to it, he's going to lead you through the progress of getting to those open doors in the way that he knows will bless you and bring you to that space best. So kind of, as I like to say, put on your earmuffs, put on your blinders, and just focus 100% on him. The other thing I want to say about your qualifications for his kingdom work is, there's a lot of times that we disqualify ourselves. Because we kind of do the same thing. We listen to all this noise. And again, God doesn't call the equipped. When he calls you to step into that space, he's not calling you because he's like, girl, you got it. And you got it. No, that would be something that's more like a goal. I know I can do this. I'm going to set my mind to it and I'm going to do it. And to me, that is the huge difference between she believed she could, so she did, right? This is a very popular saying. She believed she could, so she did. To me, that is all about goals. I want to run a marathon. Well, she believed she could, so she did. So what did she do? She believed she could reach that goal. So she set up these markers, she set up these micro goals, and she worked her way to it, and she did it, right? But that's not how God works. That's why I absolutely love a quote that I read by, hold on one second, Allwood. Her last name is Allwood. I will get back with you and I will drop it in the comments. But she wrote a quote that said, God believed she could, so she did. And I literally put this on a poster and put it in my closet because here's the thing. To me, every time you step into something with God, you are towing the edge of that Red Sea. You are stepping out on the water like Peter. It is never going to feel like she believed she could, so she did. Because when God calls you to it, he is always calling you to something that feels bigger than you could ever grab a hold of or be successful in or walk in. But that's why what God calls you to requires faith, that it's not just going to be you getting out there and getting it done. God's going to show up in that. You're going to reach out, grab his hand, and you guys are going to co-labor towards that. So when I look at something that God's calling me to and I'm like, I can't do that. I'm not made for that. I don't have what it takes. I'm not strong enough. I'm not equipped enough. I'm not trained enough. Whatever the thing is that I step in there that disqualifies me. Maybe I'm disqualifying myself because of something I've done in the past. Maybe I'm disqualifying myself because I'm not perfect. You know what, God? I can't do that. I'm not perfect enough. Whatever it is that we're disqualifying ourselves, we're completely missing the most important key here. God didn't say, I'm putting you in this place because you've got what it takes and you're able to just get on the ground and run with it. He says, we together have what it takes. And if you believe in me, I already believe in you because I know what I placed inside of you. And when we put those two pieces of faith together, you're going to run in this and it's going to be incredible, not only for your heart, but it's going to pour over and bless others. So we have to stop disqualifying ourselves where God says, I'm going to help you through this and to this. We have to remember God believed she could, so she did. And what does the Bible say about the way God works, the character of God? It says if God calls us to it, it's because he's working it together for our good. He never calls us to something to hurt us, destroy us, make us fail. He never calls us into something like that. Usually, well, I just won't go there. But let's just say he never calls us to it because he's like, I'm going to make this girl fail. A lot of times when we fail, it's because, I'm just going to put it this way. A lot of times when we fail, it's because we take our eyes off him and suddenly we shift and we're like, well, this is what I want and this is how I want to do it and this is how, and suddenly we get so far ahead of God that we're not hearing him anymore. And we're not hearing where he's telling us, where he's guiding us through this. Okay. That's a lot of times when we fail. But if we keep our eyes on him, then he's going to guide us there. And he never has a plan laid out to cause us destruction. He has a plan laid out to bless not only us, but the kingdom, his kingdom as a whole. So those are the two things I wanted to start this chapter with because I believe those are really powerful words that I have to lean into daily, and I hope that they help you as well. So here we go. We're going to deep dive into chapter 21, your qualifications for his kingdom work. It's a pretty short chapter, so we'll probably get through it pretty fast. But thank you so much for being here. Let's dive in. Leave me a comment, a thumbs up, a heart emoji. I see some of you are already doing that. Let me know if you're enjoying this chapter, and I won't lie. The algorithm loves it because it lets other people know that this is a chapter worth watching. So if you feel like this is a chapter worth watching, drop us an emoji, drop us a comment, let us know what you think. And that way, it'll let others know that this is a specific chapter worth checking out. Okay, here we go. Your qualifications for his kingdom work. One night last spring, after the rest of my family had long gone to sleep, I found myself up late reading in bed. There was nothing innately special or unique about this night, but it was about to be. You see, as I closed the book, preparing to tuck in, I suddenly heard God speak into my heart. I want you to write a book. I think I may have actually laughed out loud. I could clearly remember my immediate reaction and somewhat argumentative response. Write a book? God, no way. What do I have to offer? I am nothing special. Disqualification number 1. Nothing at all. I am a hot mess and a total disaster. Disqualification number 2. What can I possibly contribute that would ever make a difference? Disqualification number 3. And P.S., with what time? Disqualification number 4. I'm not really sure what I expected him to say, but I can tell you with 100% certainty that I definitely didn't expect everything that transpired next. Like the patient father that he is, God just let the discussion hang in the air between us. His gentle nudge, my stubborn pushback. He made no further attempt to discuss the matter with me that night. Satisfied that I had made a solid and indisputable argument on my end, I fell asleep shortly after our little one-sided tiff. You know, a lot of times people seem surprised and maybe even appalled at the way that I say God and I have a relationship where I just like say it as it is and I argue with him but you know, this is the best thing about a relationship with God. The closer we get to him, the more we realize he truly is our best friend. And he already sees everything that's going on in here. So we might as well just lay it on the table. And I always do it with utmost respect. He knows how much I love him. He knows how much I honor him. But the closer you get to God, the more relaxed and less formal that relationship becomes, because you recognize he is a father after your heart just as much as you are a daughter after his. So, you know, if you ever think that my relationship and the way that I talk to God sounds like, you know, like, whoa, I can't believe she just lays it all out there with God. Well, just, you know, understand that God adores you and you really can just act like a daughter with him and just have conversations with him that are just kind of bold and stubborn. Or if you're in a space where you're angry, you know, God can carry that. So just let him be your friend and don't carry all that expectation of formality. You know, people talk about my prayer life as a very, very formal process. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying you can also approach your father with just total informality, complete, raw, vulnerable, fun, funny, joking, upset, angry, disappointed, whatever you have, you can take it to him. So here we go. Sometimes people ask how I've grown to trust that I'm hearing God's voice. Well, he occasionally takes me on a wild ride with his fingerprints unquestionably all over the roadmap as confirmation of his calling. And this, my friends, was definitely one of those moments. When I woke up the next morning, I had a text message on my phone from someone in my life that for completely unrelated reasons I had shared a blog post with earlier that week. The message sitting on my phone included the following line: I think you have a book in you. So get this picture. I'm laying in bed. My family's asleep. I'm reading a book. I close it. God says, I want you to write a book. I'm like, that's hilarious, God. First of all, my life is a hot mess. If I wanted to lay out a blueprint for how to just totally create chaos, that would basically be all my book would serve, because I don't know. I don't know how I got here or how to get out. Like when I wrote this book was a series of him healing me piece by piece and me writing as he was healing. But when he first came to me and said, I want you to write a book, I was extremely broken and I had no idea how to get out, right? So he steps into that moment and I'm like, that's hilarious. Like, makes no sense. Thank you. Have a good night. Go. There's got to be someone else out there that's better equipped for this, right? And then literally I go to sleep and the next morning I wake up and there's already a text sitting on my phone from someone who said, I think you have a book in you. So I never spoke the words to anyone, but God confirmed his word through someone else. And I love when he does that. I have a lot of people that ask me, like, how do you get so many prophetic words through other people? Like, how do you have so many other people come up and confirm? And I really think it's because I'm a little bit of a stubborn daughter. So sometimes God has to bring confirmation through other people for me to sit up and go, all right, I get it. I hear you. I got it. I'll do it. So I think that's where I was. So here we go. Coincidence? Yes. And yet not random at all. A total God moment. I kid you not. At this point, I know that I laughed out loud. Okay, God, I'm listening. Sorry for arguing. But for the record, I still think you're crazy. P.S. God, with what time? The next week, I received a call, and it was the final and last confirmation that I needed to let go of my reservations, fears, doubts, and arguments, and simply take the step of faith that he was calling me to make. You see, the call was from my department chair at my job, and she was relaying an important update regarding my job at the college. I would not be needed in my adjunct instructor position for the upcoming semester because they had interviewed and hired a full-time instructor to cover all the adjunct classes. I was an adjunct professor at a college at the time, and so they had hired a full-time professor who was picking up all the adjunct classes. I was free, these were her words, to explore other options for the time being. So my last disqualification was, God, with what time? And a week later, I get a call that says, hey, we don't need you at your job anymore. You are free to explore other options. Do you ever think that God is just sitting next to you laughing? Like, I see that. Well, all right, God, fine. We'll do this your way. And friends, hear my testimony in my heart. You're reading that very book today with me. He is an amazing and patient Father. I like to think that God doesn't mind, that this is how our relationship goes sometimes. He gives a gentle nudge. I give a resistant pushback. He gives another gentle nudge. I dig my heel or two into my comfort zone. He gives another gentle nudge, and my final shrug and laugh of understanding and acceptance comes. I imagine him saying something along the lines of, sorry, it's a little emotional to read that. Oh, my stubborn child, I do love you. I love you too, God. Thank you for being my friend. If you travel a bit further back in my story or a few chapters back in this book, you will see that a huge turning point in my journey was when I asked God to use me. I asked him to really, really use me. After he had so patiently walked me through a great deal of healing and blanketed me with grace, love, forgiveness, and encouragement, I was eager to find his calling on my life and share his heart with others. However, as I reflect on many of the big moments when he opened doors and invited me to step out in faith, there seems to be a common underlying message in my initial response. Because over and over again, I argued with him. I am nothing special. I have nothing special to offer. How could I possibly contribute anything of value? I don't think I have the right spiritual gifts for what you're asking. I won't know the right words to say. What if I get this all wrong? What if I completely let you down? And let's be honest, what I'm really arguing is this. Don't you want to use someone else, God? Someone with more qualifications, someone who has proven that they can handle the task, someone who can assure you that they will get the job done right. But again and again, he confirmed, I want you. What are your qualifications? It's one of the first things that an employer asks during an interview. And it's one of the first things I always seem to ask myself when God taps on my heart. But God doesn't question my qualifications. He's not asking me to list off all the jobs I've gotten right, the times I scored the goal, all the moments I absolutely nailed it for him. And he's definitely not persuaded by my list of all the reasons that I am definitely the wrong person for the task. He is not going to suddenly have this aha moment and tell me I've been completely right all along. I am a terrible choice after all, the absolute worst option, the last backup to the backup draft pick. No, his still small voice is unwavering as it meets my heart with the same message each time. I choose you. You see, my qualifications have never mattered. My faith in him and my willingness to follow his lead is all he desires. I hear him calling me today, run with me, child. I hope you hear that on the other end of this video too, because he is calling all of us to run with him. And see, there's something I wrote a year ago that I want to share here, but I want to share it gently because I want to make sure that you hear my heart. Sometimes we get stuck in the prostrate position, face down, because we think, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy, God. And see, God didn't just come to heal us. He came to redeem us, to make us whole. And he says, it is finished on the cross. So before you were even born, it was finished. And when we believe we are not worthy, or we allow the enemy to put that lie in there, we stay prostrate on the ground. I love you, God. I am not worthy. I worship you. I love you. I am not worthy. And yes, we are made to worship God, but we are also made to know our identity in him, and to know that we are healed and redeemed and made whole, and to know that there is a calling on our heart. And God wants us to stand up in that calling, know who we are in him, and run with him. And when we stay believing we are not worthy on that floor, we cannot get up and run in the way we are made to run. And there came a point where I heard him say, okay, daughter, I love you. You are redeemed. You are made whole. You are enough. You are worthy. Get up and run with me. And that is where we go back to the beginning of this. God believed she could, so she did. But God also believed, this is who you are in me, so you can. So even if we don't believe in who we are as redeemed, as made whole, as enough, as equipped, if we know this is how he sees us, we can get up and run in the truth of how he sees us, instead of staying prostrate on the ground as not worthy or not enough. And we have to defeat that cycle. Here's the thing. I can't help but notice the punctuation at the end of his calling. It's an exclamation point. He intentionally and emphatically placed an exclamation point there, which leads me to take action. Why? Because I can't let the enemy place a question mark where God has already placed his unwavering love and faith in me. I do not know the calling that God has placed on your heart, but I do invite you to see yourself as not only chosen, but the perfect fit, regardless of your qualifications. When we ask God to use us, we are trusting that he will provide everything that we need. And here's the truth, he will. There is so much joy to be found in leaning into God's plan for you. He has placed a calling on your heart just for you and nobody else. He never leaves your side, and his calling doesn't change just because you travel through a dry season or weather a heartbreaking or faith-shattering storm. He doesn't seek perfection. Remember, you are irreplaceable in the kingdom and the exact fit for the position. So don't worry about your qualifications, because he will meet you right where you are. Oh, and about that adjunct instructor position that I lost in the moving and shaking of his plans, because you guys might be wondering about that. I loved being a college instructor. So when God had moved things and shook things up in order for me to write this book, what happened? Like, did he just leave me? No. Well, 1 week after I mailed out this book to a select group of editors for final reviews, I received a call completely out of the blue. My dream college, the one that had inspired me to be an instructor to begin with, the college that I had contacted for at least a year or more seeking a position, the very college with which I had prayed for an opportunity to teach at for years, was suddenly and unexpectedly on the other end of the phone. We would like for you to join our family. We would like for you to teach for us. And there it was. The tears poured. A future more incredible than I had even dreamed for myself. There it was. But Jesus. He is a good, good father, and you are his perfect fit. He has never cared about your qualifications for his kingdom work. He cares about your heart. And he will see you through to a more beautiful future than you can even dream for yourself. So follow his nudges, let go of your self-doubt, trust in his provisions, and run with him. So here we are, 4 years after I wrote this book. So I had a college position, which I loved. God removed that college position and some shifting and shaking to create space to write the book, which essentially started my ministry. Then he opened a door for me to walk back into college teaching on college campus in the most beautiful but God way, right? Like, I didn't even make a phone call to get this job. They called me and they said, are you ready? You've been calling us for a couple years. Are you ready? Literally after the book was done, right? But in that gap, a ministry had been born in me. I started writing the book, then I was blogging more, then I was podcasting. It all was born from this space, right? So here we get 3 years down the road. We're 4 years now, 3 years down the road. And God suddenly steps into my life and he says, I need you to let go of that college position. But I love teaching, God. And I love the extra money that it provides for my family. I need you to let go of it because what I have for you, you're not going to be able to carry both. And I had to let go in faith of what he was calling me into. And then literally right after that, I get a phone call out of the blue for a position that I wasn't seeking, a position I didn't even know about, a position I didn't even know was coming in women's ministry because God put my name on their heart and they called me. I didn't call them. They called me and said, hey, God put your name in line for this position and we would love to invite you. And it was in women's ministry. So look at how God pieces things together. Don't ever disqualify yourself out of God's favor because that's what you're doing. When you disqualify yourself out of something God called you into, you are disqualifying yourself out of his blessing and his favor and his path for you. So that was chapter 21. On Thursday, we're going to deep dive into chapter 22. Chapter 22 is have faith, stay the course. And it is all about when you are in the middle of chasing God's heart for, God calls you into something and you're in the middle of walking towards that. And we all know this, the wheels start falling off, the road gets bumpy, things get crazy. The enemy definitely steps in there because you're coming after his territory, right? And so it gets kind of I'll never forget Jennifer Allwood. That's the name I was looking for. Jennifer Allwood said, when you get really close to that finish line of where God's calling you to, there's never truly a finish line, but when you get really close to that place that God's calling you to, that breakthrough, that position, that whatever it is, all of a sudden, the wheels fall off the car, right? And there's a truth in this that it feels like that. And you have to remember that God is there and just take his hand and keep running, right? But this chapter is solely dedicated to that because to think that we are going to run after the calling that God has for us and we are going to expand God's kingdom and think that we're not going to come face to face with our enemy or face to face with doubt and fear and all these things, that's just not how it works. How it works is faith, through faith in the character of God, that he is for us, that he is with us, and that he is the King of Kings. Through faith in that, we are able to take that next step. So we're going to talk all about that on Thursday. But thank you guys for being here. Don't forget to drop a thumbs up, a heart, let other people know through your comments or through your emojis that you enjoyed this chapter if you did, so that they know to check this chapter out. Again, you can go back and check any of our previous chapters on my YouTube channel. Go out there and subscribe to Shannon Singh Ministries. I hope you guys have a beautiful and blessed Tuesday and Wednesday, and I'll see you here Thursday morning.